Hello everyone, hope you guys are doing well. It's been a while since I made the video, so as they say, I'm back in the business. So on this video, I'll be talking about your lab report. I've checked some of your work, but because I cannot do a second feedback on this lab report apparently, because it would be unfair to other students, I cannot give you a grade on this. So I'm just going to give you a general feedback from all of the students that I checked their work, and you're going to submit your work on December 11th by 11:59 p.m. 2022. Okay, so consider all of these feedbacks that I'm going to write in here, like watch the video and then fix your report and then submit it by Sunday. Okay, this is Sunday. Now we move on to the next stage. So lab report format. I want your introduction section to be 300, minimum 300 words. You'll be talking about the background information, its significance to relation to real life, scientific data, and then you need to cite your resources. So about the citing, I will be talking about in the next minutes. So you also need to have objectives in here, such as like aim. So your aim is not going to be separate, but it'll be included in introduction. And you also need to write your predictions in if-then format, like you predict, and then you will discuss it later on. So for material section, no bullet point, please. You cannot have a bullet point or a list. Everything must be written in an essay format. Your procedure. So procedure gotta be written as step-by-step description, but you cannot write as we have done or we, our, something like this. You need to write from third person perspective in a passive voice, third person. So you're gonna say it has been done. Okay, this is acceptable. But the other way around, like we did this, I did that, it's not acceptable. I know you have accepted, you got this stuff accepted last year, but this year I'm just telling you, just fix it. And I just want to make sure that you guys learn how to write the report properly. So in the results and discussion, you will be giving away your data, whatever data you recorded, and then you analyze and overall go into details of what you think happened, and then you're going to talk about your hypothesis results. Okay, so hypothesis, you will be talking about them in the end, and you have a conclusion. It doesn't have to be long, you can make it short, and then references. You have to have references, otherwise you're going to lose points. Okay, so this is the description. I want you to guys see what kind of rubric I will use. So 20% is going to go for introduction, material is 5%, procedure is 10, and then I got the big portion is the 50% discussion of data and recording and analysis. And then we got conclusion, which is 10%, and the references, which is 5%. So over here, I will be choosing either this or this, and then I'm going to be choosing a number in between, such as, let's say, 75, depending what I see. So the most problem that I've seen in your guys' case is the copy-pasting sentences. So in anywhere in the world, they would not accept copy-pasting. This is not acceptable. You cannot copy-paste the whole sentences, okay? You can use an idea. You can use idea from, let's say, from a resource, from internet. So what you do, paraphrase it. Paraphrase the sentences, and then put down a reference. So let's say you say that, for example, redox reaction, and then blah, blah, blah. Okay, you got something from the resource. You just put a number in the brackets in 1, and then you go down all the way in your references section. You say references section like this, and then you write number 1, whatever the resource it is. Let's say a book X, whatever. Okay, you don't put the whole reference in the introduction section. You just put a number like this, and then nicely go in the reference section, say what that number stands for. Okay, so this is your references section. Now I'm going to the lab report that is specific, like I'll go into more specific questions. So in here we have some stuff. So for example, guys didn't see the Bunsen burner, and that we didn't have heat-proof mat. Like some of the stuff you guys need to remove. So I still included it in there, so because I want to see you guys if you'll be able to tailor your material section according to whatever we used. So you need to also talk in your introduction section. I forgot about it. You need to talk about the safety consideration in your intro. So you can use from this section in here and write an essay format about your safety considerations. So I told you guys that we were gonna do only 1 and reaction 3 for your results and discussion and for everything basically. But you will be talking about 2 and 4 as well in your hypothesis section. Okay, so what I'm expecting in the hypothesis, you would say, okay, if you add zinc with copper nitrate, this is what you're expecting, and you need to research this stuff. Like your hypothesis is everything is going to be researched. You Google what is the product, what color needs to come out, and so on. So let's say I'm going to write, for example, the first reaction for you, and the rest you need to guys kind of Google it. So the first one, it says add 1 centimeter depth of hydrochloric acid in a test tube and add 1 small piece of aluminum foil. So if you guys remember, we had aluminum there. I just had a small piece of aluminum. I added inside hydrochloric acid, and after some time, once we put it in a water bath, once I put it in a water bath, it gave away a gas, hydrogen gas. So when I used this lighted splint, it gave a small sound. Okay, that was meaning that we had the reaction of hydrogen plus oxygen reacting and giving a water steam out. Okay, but now the product we had in here that is dissolved is aluminium chloride. And then on top of aluminium chloride, we added sodium hydroxide. Okay, so I Googled this stuff. I Googled what is the product needs to come out, and I found out that aluminium hydroxide needs to come out as a product, and this sodium chloride is the other product. Okay, so this aluminium hydroxide, if you Google this, it shows as white precipitate. Okay, white precipitate. So if you guys remember, we had a test tube, and then inside the test tubes we had a little small white precipitate in here. Okay, a whitish stuff, white precipitate came out, but over there we still had some liquid, like gray liquid. You guys need to discuss what is that gray liquid, why it's not all white. I'm just going to give you guys a hint. The reason we had a white precipitate inside a gray liquid is because of the aluminum. We added too much of aluminum to hydrochloric acid, so there were still some aluminum left inside the tube. So some of them made aluminum chloride, but some of the aluminum chloride was still there. Okay, some of it was there. It was dissolved inside the liquid. And when you added aluminum on top of aluminum chloride, a sodium hydroxide, it gave away the white precipitate. But there were still some gray liquid, which is because of the excess aluminum. Okay, so if we added a little less aluminum, we could have had only white precipitate, only white. Okay, so you talk about this in your hypothesis section, and then in your results and discussion, you say that, for example, this didn't give a full white color because of too much aluminum. Now for the second one, for example, we we didn't do this experiment. So you need to just Google the stuff. You need to write down iron goes into the reaction with copper nitrate. Copper nitrate giving you iron nitrate and then copper. And then it was saying that filter out the solution. So this was the filter, the stuff that was becoming liquid. And then you filter this out, and on top of it, you would add sodium hydroxide. And then this would give you another compound such as this, ferrium hydroxide, and then sodium nitrate. And this is actually another white precipitate. Okay, so you would write this in your hypothesis section. And then the third reaction, I guess I'm going to give you guys all of the reactions so you can write it in your report. Now the third one. We have the third one that we did actually in our experiments. So zinc plus copper nitrate. We had here copper nitrate. If you guys remember, it was a crystal blue solution, like it was actually ocean blue. Zinc nitrate giving reaction and giving product zinc nitrate, and then it was coming out of copper. If you guys remember, I had a zinc metal, and then later on that zinc metal started turning a little reddish, and the reason is because of this copper. It got absorbed on top of this zinc, okay, on top of this zinc metal. So, and then what we did, we filtered it out. If you guys remember, we also did, what did we make the filter wet? You need to also mention this in your procedure section. So zinc nitrate, and then on top of it, we added sodium hydroxide. Now it's giving us the product of zinc hydroxide plus sodium nitrate. If you guys would Google this, you would see that this is also white precipitate, which is the same thing that happened in our case. But our solution in our test tube, we had a little blue inside a blue liquid, and we had a white precipitate, like a milky white precipitate in here, okay? But still the solution was a blue color. So it was a blue color solution. You need to mention this in your results and discussion, and you need to explain why it was still blue. I will give you guys a hint. You see this blue solution in here? We added too much excess of this guy into zinc. That's why we still had a blue color inside the solution. But if we put in just enough of copper nitrate, we would have had only white precipitate. Okay? Now you need to talk about this in results and discussion. And the next thing is magnesium nitrate. Again, you would be just talking about this in your hypothesis section. I'm going to write down, so here, so magnesium going into the reaction on zinc nitrate, okay, and then it's got to give you with using activity series. You need to know magnesium nitrate is going to be the product, and it's going to be zinc as coming out. And then magnesium nitrate, you would filter this thing out, and from the filter, after that you would add sodium hydroxide, and then you would get magnesium hydroxide and sodium nitrate. I'm just going to let you guys Google the color of this stuff, but this is going to be another precipitation. Also, you need to explain me why we do the second step. You see, this is the first reaction, we had the second reaction. And then we have the first and second. The same thing over here, first and second. You need to explain me why we need to do this. Like, what's the purpose of doing this? I will just give you guys a hint. You see, there's like precipitate happening in the end. This is like a check, check mark. You do to see if everything is all right with your reaction. If there's some kind of precipitation, so you see we have white precipitate here, and white precipitate here. So if there's white precipitate happening, so that means our everything is okay. Okay, things are going okay, more or less. They're going okay. Maybe there's some of the stuff is in excess, like too much of the stuff, but still, if you get some kind of precipitation, things are okay. Okay, so the other things that I will need to talk about in your introduction section, before I forget, like I've seen it so many times, like this is really bothering me. Like in your introduction section, you cannot have no question and answer. You cannot ask a question and then answer it, okay? This is no in any lab report. You're not writing me some kind of journal. This is a lab report. You need to write just essay, okay? State your thoughts and everything in there, but don't ask questions and answer them after, okay? No question and answer. So no bullet points, okay, anywhere in the report. No bullet points. And then I told you about references. If you write something about your report, let's say you written this in your introduction section, just put that, let's say you got this from your reference, put a number 1 in here and go back in your references, write the whole thing. And then I talked about the third person perspective in the materials section, procedure section, sorry. You cannot say that we did this, our team did this. You would say this has been done. And you have seen my example report. Please check out my example report and in the same folder. Once you check it, everything will be clear for you. And that's that, guys. I wish you all the best. I think you guys will be able to get a really good mark as far as I can see from your results. Good luck and have a good night.